A Look at Finance is underwritten by Janney Montgomery Scott, trusted advisors for generations.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Thursday. A Look at Finance with Steve Carlton.
Jesse, always a pleasure.
How are you doing?
Good, good. I love
What do you think of the flowers?
I
huh?
love it. It's spring.
Optimism.
Yeah, is that from the garden at your house, or where's it?
Oh, yeah, that's that's a good place to start. Let's go back to optimism. Okay.
Sure.
Optimism, unemployment numbers. I'm always interested in this, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So what's going on?
better and better. We've been talking about this now for a year.
That's right.
And the trend keeps improving. And we said once we fell below 350, they were just going to continue to break down, and it has. And so now we're at that 4-week rolling average. We're at a number now that goes all the way back to 2007. So these are good encouraging numbers. They're improving. I know there's still a lot of people looking for work. There's still a lot of challenges, but the fact that there's less people filing for unemployment, these are good signs.
Well, it sure sounds like it. Stock market kind of flat today, but good news in the stock market overall, right? I mean, continues.
Yeah. We're going into the earnings season, so there's been some surprises, the upside and the downside. But overall, I think there's been such a heaviness that as we come into spring, I think what we're going to be really paying attention to is what earnings look like in the second, third, fourth quarter this year. So we're off to a challenging start, but there are a lot of good, positive, encouraging signs.
Well, you said to me that Easter, for some reason, is kind of a benchmark. That out of the last 20 years or something like that, 18 years showed if the stock market did well up to Easter, that it continued to do well for the remainder of the year. I mean, outside of this being superstitious, I mean, there is factual data on this, correct?
I'm impressed. You remember what we were talking about.
I'm
really, you're paying attention. I like this. I'm flattered. This is good. So what happened, I was talking about earlier, was over the last 31 years, if we look at the S&P 500, if it was positive going into Easter, in that last 31 years, about 20 times that happened. 18 of the 20 times, we finished the year up positive growth, 8-10% for the year or more. So that is a really good encouraging sign because we're up for the year going into Easter. We've had some challenges, but if you like statistics and you like listening to those little fun facts, it's not any guarantee of any sorts, but it's an interesting stat because looking back over the last 31 years, if we were positive going into Easter, it was a good indicator.
All right, so you've got certain trends like that you follow, but you're the expert. What do you tell your advisors? Short term, long term, and I mean outside of the cliches. But as an advisor, what do you tell your investors?
There's so many things. I mean, one of the things I was saying to somebody the other day was, they were asking if the market was going to do what it did last year and comparing some of the previous years. And I said, a lot of people say that history doesn't repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes.
That's interesting.
And then what I mean by that is there are similarities. It doesn't repeat itself exactly, but you can look back over the last 100 years of market history and glean from that anecdotes, ideas, perspectives, and really give you a better idea of where we're going, what things to watch and be aware of. As far as what am I saying to people, most people, I try to get them to take a step back. When I think of the great sage, one of the great sages, Warren Buffett, investor, he would always, people would ask him, what do you think of this stock? And they wouldn't ask him what they thought of the stock, where it was going to go tomorrow or next week, because his focus was always where it was going to be, in the next 5 years or 10 years down the road.
Right.
And I think the best investors are the ones that pull back. And so it's not what happened in the market today or tomorrow, but buy companies, buy good companies, look at the market, do your research, talk to a good financial advisor, and then know what your time horizon is. Then know that if you're going to retire over the next 10 years or the next 15 or the next 5, how do you invest in that time period? So it's very specific and it's very unique to the individual. But I think the best thing to do in these kinds of markets with all the uncertainty is take a step back, look at big picture, and diversification, diversification, diversification.
Well, I got you. Well, I mean, if you look locally in the last 5 years, there's that steady sort of growth that we've seen. Now, talking about that, I was up in Lake George today.
Is there still ice up there?
No, the ice is gone. The ice is gone.
Good.
It kind of went overnight, which was interesting.
Yeah.
So the ice sinks and the water rises. Is that any kind of symbolism for
like the
your
rhyme
world?
thing? No, that doesn't work.
Okay, so I didn't get very far with that one. But one thing
I'm sure we could make it work, though, if you give me a minute. Yeah.
Well, you know what? A lot of interesting development going on up there. Real estate development.
Sure.
Right? The hotel's going in
Yeah.
up there. A new shopping mall is going in up there. And a new apartment complex is going up there. And you just see between the Saratoga, Warren, and Washington County continues to be pretty robust, with real estate kind of always being the leading indicator.
Yeah, you know, absolutely, real estate is a wonderful indicator of momentum, of what's growing and what's happening, and there's so much buzz going on right now. You know, we talked about, a couple weeks ago about, Saratoga County, this area growing and being, the fastest growing in New York. This area has a lot of buzz going on. There's a lot of real estate deals that are in the works. We've covered some of the ones that have been announced already, but there's more in the works. And there's no doubt about it. When we look at Glens Falls and Lake George and all around us, there's a lot of buzz. I think there's a lot of activity that's been kind of pending, and we're going to see a lot of those projects go live this year.
I think a lot of them are going to go live. We know about a few real estate transactions that are possibly going to happen, and we'll keep you updated on these each week as we get into this. Okay, one last thing. We announced the winner of the Janney High Five Leadership Grant last week.
Brittany Sardini, yes.
And we're starting to put the pieces together, so we'll keep you posted on that.
That's coming up.
And you're going to be amazed what I found.
What'd you get?
I found the big check.
Oh, the big check.
It was in the back of someone's car from last year. They put it in here. I was going through the conference room, and I thought, what's this?
What is this? And
it's the big check. So we've got the big check.
You can't cash it. It doesn't work. People have tried.
That's right.
You go to Adirondack Trust with this check, they're not going to cash it for you. Well, that's good. That's going to be. We'll bring that to the school and give it to Brittany, and if you have a chance to meet her family, it'll be good.
And we'll cover that story here on Look News.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, next week, your assignment, should you choose to accept it, is you bring the flowers.
What kind of flowers do you want me to bring you?
Well, I don't know. I don't even know what those are, but they sure look good.
I'll have to talk to some friends about that. I'll get back to you on it.
So I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jesse.
You
Always
got
a pleasure.
Steve. Good.
Take care.
Of course. See this interview again? You can head to our website, looktvonline.com.